Today, I'm going to be answering the most asked questions from me being in MrBeast's Last to Leave Mansion Gets to Keep It. Hi, my name is Armstrong, and if you don't know who I am, I don't know how you're on this video right now, but I was recently one of the contestants in MrBeast's video Last to Leave Mansion Keeps It. I'm going to be answering questions that all of y'all have been asking all over my social profiles, on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram. Everywhere I've been seeing these questions. I'm trying to respond to everybody's comments as much as I can, but guys, I'm just a normal dude, okay? I'm not famous, I'm not special, nothing like that, so bear with me. But I figured I would make this video to give you guys kind of an inside look, a peek behind the curtains, answering every question you may have about MrBeast's Last to Leave Mansion Keeps It. So I'm going to go through in order, starting from the beginning, where, I don't want to reveal too much. If you haven't seen the video, go watch it. But I don't want to reveal too much information as I go along, so I'm not going to tell you who won yet. But I'll go through and I'll answer sort of the beginning questions, and then we'll move on to the deeper stuff as we move on along in the video. All right, so for the first question, you spent over 100 days posting why you would not make a great contestant videos. What finally convinced you to keep going with that series? That's a great question. So as you guys might know, I posted for 150 days straight about why I would not make a great contestant in a MrBeast video. Well, obviously MrBeast ended up reaching out and I got into a MrBeast video. Honestly, the reason I started doing that was because I had actually done a previous series where I ended up meeting Eric.
My name is Armstrong, and this is a video idea 19 with Eric.
How's it going, guys?
And I asked myself, I met Eric with 19 days of videos. I wonder how many days it'll take to meet MrBeast. And really, I said, what's the disadvantage? There's no downsides for me. So 150 days straight, I had to come up with a new idea. It's actually harder than you think. After like the first 20 videos, I really had to come up with ideas. It wasn't easy. But 150 days straight, and I actually got into a MrBeast video. Looking back, how did it feel the moment you actually got the call that you were supposed to be in a MrBeast video? Honestly, it was wild. I just finished working out, I was headed home, and I get a phone call, and I pick it up, and she was like, hey, I'm from MrBeast. Are you available for an interview tomorrow? And I was like, MrBeast? Interview? Let me check my calendar. Yeah, I'm available. I can make that work. So the next day I had an interview and I went through multiple different interviews and yeah, eventually got into a MrBeast video. I was super excited. Obviously I had to keep everything a secret, but it was really exciting and I was like, wow, my 150 days of work paid off. When you first walked into the mansion, what was the biggest thing that surprised you about the setup or the other contestants? Well, honestly, I didn't know how many guys there were going to be. I didn't know what the video was going to be happening. I didn't know if we were going to be in the mansions or the woods or what. And I didn't know any of the guys. When I went in there, I didn't recognize any of them, nothing like that. Some of the guys had known each other, had seen each other on social media, all that stuff. I had no relationships socially with any of them beforehand. And so, I don't know, it was day one, I think there wasn't anything crazy. I noticed that people were pretty rambunctious and pretty, wild, but there was nothing that stood out until day two. And then things started getting hectic. A lot of people notice your confidence right away. How intentional was that, and did you realize it might rub people the wrong way? So that's a great question because that's definitely something that came across a lot in the video. I made 150 videos about why I would not be a great contestant. My confidence level through the roof. I was going to win, right? No matter what. That was my mindset. And so I didn't really consider how it would rub people because for me it was well, I'm just going to win. Why wouldn't I say I'm going to win when I'm the one who's going to win? And obviously, looking back, I can see how terribly that would rub people. But at the beginning, even from day one, I said to the camera as soon as we got in there, this is a social game and I'm going to win, which is really ironic. But I don't know. I didn't really fully think through how my confidence could be taken as arrogance. And there's a fine line there between confidence and arrogance. And I considered it confidence the whole time because I'm confident in my abilities. I'm confident in everything that I can do, whatever. Everybody else took it as arrogance. And so that was definitely a major flaw, and it definitely rubbed people the wrong way, from day one. I remember one of the things that I tend to do is I tend to, fill a leader role. And, we got into the mansion, and I have no social credibility with any of these guys, whatever, and, we sit down around the table, and I'm like,
Okay, wait. So what time we're going to sleep? What time are we waking up? Man, shut up!
And, it's things like that. For me, I like structure, I like regimented things, I like sticking to a schedule, and obviously we're in a mansion, and these guys are treating this like it's a vacation, and I'm treating it like it's real life. Because I was fully prepared to last up to 4 years there, at least. Actually, minimum of 4 years. So, that's, a difference. And looking back, I probably wouldn't have treated it that way, but, I was just being me. Early on, some of the guys clearly didn't click with you. What was that dynamic like from my side? Well, honestly, I love people in general. And I'm not the most emotionally intelligent person, but I love people. And so I tend to be really social, ongoing. Like I'll have relationships and conversations with people no matter what. And so for me, because I see things from a very logical perspective, like when I'm having conversations or relationships, like if I'm talking to somebody and they're like, yeah, I'm going to win the mansion. And I say, I'm going to win the mansion. They're like, no, I'm going to win. Like that isn't dividing the relationship, in my opinion. Like for me, that's like, well, I'm glad you believe you're going to win. I'm going to believe that I'm going to win too. Other people don't take it that way, right? They think that it's me being arrogant if I say I'm going to win, right? So I think people didn't click with me early on, and I definitely was very robotic, very logical, very unemotional, and try to like structured and stuff. So I could understand why they didn't click with me and why they didn't like that. But that's, that's who I was, and I've obviously grown since then. But that's like naturally, that's kind of like who I am. How much of the playing for yourself version of that you showed up on camera was accurate versus what was happening off camera? Honestly, this question is probably something that everybody wants to know because it's like, how real was that Asher? And honestly, like, I think it wasn't as like vivid as it actually was. So there's clips, there's stuff, but like in the mansion itself, like it was bad. Like the way I acted, but I didn't, like I was completely ignorant. That's the thing, is I was completely ignorant to it. I thought I was just being confident. I thought I was just doing whatever it takes to win. I thought everybody should be seeing it as a competition. And obviously, like, there's a balance. I mean, everybody should see it as a competition because it is. But at the same time, like, there can be friendships. One of the things that I said that didn't make it into the video, but I said to the guys, I would rather not trust anybody and fail on my own than trust somebody and have them backstab me. And so that was something like one of the other approaches I took is like, no matter what, I'd rather bet on myself than risk betting on somebody else and then them potentially eliminating me. I mean, at the end of the day, it's $1 million. Like, can you really trust anybody for $1 million that you literally met however many days ago? So that was my approach. Looking back at it, I was playing myself, but I think looking back, like I could have done a lot better. Like obviously I could have been a better person. I could have had more emotion and I could have connected with the guys a lot sooner. But that was my true self, and that's how I was at the time. So that was definitely very authentic. Was there a moment early on in the challenge when you realized that the social side was going to be harder than the physical or mental? This was something that I didn't think mattered. Even at the beginning, I said this is a social challenge and I'm going to win it. Funny because that didn't happen at all. But I realized that the way in the challenges Jimmy was giving us, it wasn't a social game. Like, sure, the backstabbing and things could happen, but all the challenges he were giving us, we had to choose to get eliminated. And so for me, it was more of like, again, I would rather rely on myself. And so I would rather make the competition hard for my competitors and rely on myself than try to play the social game and then potentially lose or get backstabbed. So it definitely was, I think I started to realize that the social aspect started to become a thing. That was like during the chains. Like it started to solidify during the chains. Speaking of, I have some memorabilia here. Here's the keys and here's some of the locks. But anyway, that was sort of when I started to realize that. And then after, like midway through the chains is when those relationships, when it was the top 6, that's when those relationships really started to solidify with Ryan and Quali and Pierce and then Kevin and Uthman. And I was kind of just like by myself almost all day reading outside. It didn't bother me. Like I'm a very omniverted. I can be really social with people or I can be really fine all by myself. And so for me, I didn't care. At the end of the day, it was a competition. And I only saw it as a competition. I only saw these guys as competitors, not as friends. And even then, like, they were competitors first, friends second, right? So that's the way I approached it the whole time. What did a normal day actually look like once all the novelty wore off? So the beginning, everything was crazy, right? Like day 1, it was chill. Day 2, house started getting destroyed. Day 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, crazy stuff was happening. TV remotes thrown out, TV smashed, all this stuff, right? Day 10, we get the chains, okay? Obviously, the routine there, we had chains, so it was basically wake up with the person chained to you, get up, you guys, take turns using the bathroom, go downstairs, cook breakfast. Aaron and I I watched all of Naruto while I was in the mansion because I never watched any anime before, and so I was like, I got plenty of time, and MrBeast had just dropped the Naruto MrBeast collab, and so I was like, I got plenty of time, let's watch Naruto, and Aaron loves Naruto, so he was like, let's watch Naruto together. So that was something we kind of like bonded over. And so we would watch TV, then we would eat lunch, then we'd watch TV more, later we'd work out, we'd watch TV, eat dinner, go to bed. So that was like a normal day when we were in the chains. And then once we got out of the chains, and once Uthman broke the TV on day 21, I got into better, like, when I was out of the chains and Aaron was gone, it was more just like I'd wake up, I'd cook myself breakfast, I would go and I would read. Like, I would read outside, and I would read, like, all day. I mean, I read probably 25 books while I was in the mansion. I'd read all day, eat lunch, read more, hang out with the guys some, depending. Things like we played soccer, things like that every now and then. But even then, like, while they were chained together, I didn't really do much with them. And yeah, so basically just reading, eating, and sleeping. That was about it. Isolation looked intense. What was going through your head during the long stretch of being alone? Yeah, so in isolation, it was Ryan and I trapped together. It was Kawali and Pierce, and then it was Kevin and Uthman. And they were arguing over who was going to be trapped with me. Honestly, I didn't care. Like, I understood. I was, not loved by everybody. And going into isolation, I didn't have deep relationships with anybody. I think Ryan was the person I had grown the closest to, but we didn't have like a deep relationship. And over that time in isolation, like Ryan and I's relationship really solidified, and he was very he understood me the most. His brother apparently is a lot like me, and so he's grown up with his brother, so he kind of knew how to talk to me and explain things to me and help me understand basically how much of a pain in the butt I was being. And so that was a good time, but honestly, like, and I know it's egotistical to say, none of the challenges really got to me. Like, I didn't miss my family while I was there. The time, like, the being in isolation, sometimes it was boring, yeah, but like, we had brought some books in, we outsmarted Jimmy there, so we had done some stuff like that, but like, at the end of the day, it wasn't crazy, honestly. And maybe obviously I'm sure that sounds arrogant, but like, genuinely, it wasn't very difficult for me at all. How real was the mental toll the video showed, and did it change how I approached the rest of the competition? Honestly, there was a time, and I don't think it was really conveyed much in the video, but there was a time where it was Asher versus the house. And the story wasn't built up much, but basically everybody was trying to get me eliminated. Kawali had said previously in the video that if the only thing he did was get me eliminated, then he will be satisfied. Obviously, Ryan said he was going to try to get me eliminated so that Kawali could win. Kevin and Uthman obviously wanted to win, so they were trying to get me eliminated. And Pierce said, like, man, this guy got to go, right? And so there was a period of time, specifically around, I think it was it was during the alarms, where it was, like, that's actually the reason I threw out the food. Because for about 15, 20 days, it was just constant, like, we got to get Asher out. Asher, you don't know what we're planning. Asher, we're going to get you out soon. Jimmy better give us a way to get you out, like, whatever. And so I was laying down to go to bed, and I was about to go to sleep, and I thought to myself, I said, in 10 days, or like 7 days or whatever, when Jimmy gives us the next challenge, let's say they are able to eliminate me somehow, would I regret not taking action now to try to prevent myself from getting eliminated? And I was like, yeah, I would. Like, I have all the action and the information that I need to make a decision. I would regret that. And so I said, well, then do something about it. And that's what I did. I decided to throw out all the food in the house. And I threw out all the food in the house because I thought I could outfast everybody there. And then 2 days later, Jimmy shows up and he's like, well, starvation is not a strategy. And I was like, darn. So he's like, so we're putting you guys in your next challenge. And that's when he put us into isolation. So that was definitely like, that's the reason. That's that whole like switch, I guess, of like, because I was trying to be the good guy. Like, I was trying to be the angel. I didn't break anything. I wasn't destroying stuff. I wasn't being rude to people. Like, I wasn't intentionally rude. Like, some people were intentionally rude to each other. I was just trying to be a nice guy. But unfortunately, I didn't see how my confidence came across as arrogance. Which challenge surprised you the most while you were in the mansion? Honestly, for me, the thing that was most upsetting was the last to take your hand off, because I knew that, like, had Jimmy given us other challenges from other videos rather than doing the last take your hand off, we would have stayed for months more. Like, none of us were going to leave. But at the end of the day, Jimmy had to end the video. I really appreciated the fact that Jimmy joined the challenge. Like, honestly, I didn't even care about the $100,000 that we could have won. I just love being able to hang out with Jimmy, being able to pick his brain about YouTube, about life, about what he's built and how he's accomplished all that. Like, that was really awesome for me. And so I really appreciated having those conversations with him. It was crazy. Like, I did not expect Jimmy joining the challenge. That was really cool. But most of the other stuff, like all those individual twists that he gave us, the phone, the alarms, the solitaire, like, those were all, like, we had watched the previous videos. We had known challenges that he'd given previous contestants. Those were all expected. A lot of people talked about family or financial pressures. How did those personal stakes affect the way you competed day to day? For me, honestly, like, people were talking about doing this for their dad. People were talking about doing this, to get their parents out of debt. Like there were so many different reasons. And for me, like there was a lot of reasons that I wanted to do it, but at the end of the day, like I wanted to set, and I want to set my future wife and kids up for success. So I don't know who my future wife and kids are yet, but I want to build something and leave a legacy, leave a generational impact. It's really not about me. It's about building something for my future wife and kids. And so that was my driving factor. And obviously, my family now, I still want to be able to provide for them as well. And obviously, I want money's great because I also want to, continue doing YouTube. So trust me, I'll get into this later, but the stuff I want to do on YouTube, it's not cheap, okay? As the numbers got smaller, how did the atmosphere in the house change? This is a great question because at the beginning, it's actually crazy looking back because at the beginning, the numbers, there's like 15, and then 20 days later, it's like 8. And then 10 more days, and it's like 6. And it's like, wait, 29 days, and then it was only 6? So we went from 15 to 6 in 29 days? Yeah. The dynamic from 15 to 8 was like at 8, we were chill. Like we went from crazy house to like chill house. Then from 8 to 6, it was like we really started to, I say a family, it didn't start at day 29, when it was top 6, but as we progressed, the 6 of us, we had a small enough number where we could really start to get to know each other, and we could start to create those bonds, and I think that's something that played a significant role, is it just became more like a family. And in isolation, that's that moment that I realized, like, not everything has to be a competition. I can treat these people as friends and not competitors and still be successful. And yes, it still is a competition, but I don't have to only see it that way. Because, realistically, if my neighbor wants to read a book and I say, no, you can't read a book that I have, I'm not going to give it to you, that's not going to help me win. Like, they're not going to choose to get eliminated because of that. But now they're just mad at me because I didn't do it. So, like, I can just be nice and then they can not hate me. Right? So that was a big shift that I, realized in isolation as well. There were moments where other contestants openly talked about not wanting to pair with you, as well as behind your back about wanting to get you eliminated. How did you process hearing those things in real time? Well, when they talked about not wanting to pair with me, honestly, like, I completely understood. I think I got to the point in the video where I knew how much, I wasn't the best person in the video. Like, I got to the point where I realized that people didn't love me. Like, I was not going to have those same deep relationships that everybody else had at that time. And so I understood their perspective. Like, I was not mad at them for that. Like, if I was in their shoes, I probably would have felt the same way about me. So for me, I was okay with that. And then obviously the things that they said, behind my back, I don't blame them. Like, when I watch the video, I see the things in the clips like, we got to get that guy eliminated. Like, I understand. Obviously, not only was I annoying, but I was the biggest competition. I mean, I had no job, no life, no kids, no, like, relationship, nothing to go back to, right? So it makes sense. Did you ever feel like you had a clear strategy for how to last as long as possible? Or were you Did you ever feel like you had a clear strategy for how to last as long as possible? Or were you mostly reacting as things came at you? For me, I knew exactly what I wanted to do since the day I came in there, and that was win. So my strategy was to win. Like, that was my whole strategy. And so for me, it was just to win. Like, everything I did was like, does this help me win? And if it does, I do it. And if it doesn't, I don't do it. So that was my strategy. Obviously, I had to, like, tweak things as the video went on, but I think it was around probably that day 75, 80 mark that it was like, maybe not everything I do has to be about winning. Maybe I can do stuff that are about friendships too. Once it got down to the final handful of people, what was the energy like between you and the others who were still left? Again, like, the energy got significantly better after that day 80 mark when I actually started to realize that, like, we can be brothers and not competitors. And so from day 80 on, like, we didn't care what Jimmy threw at us. Like, none of us really wanted any of us to leave. We all wanted each of us to walk away with something. And that's the approach we took. So when Jimmy showed up and he's like, do you guys want another challenge? We were like, nah, you don't got to give us one. Like, we're good. We'll stay here forever. Like, that's cool, Jimmy. So the relationship dynamic, especially after I came to my senses, was a lot better. And unfortunately, Jimmy threw a crazy challenge at us that caused us to get eliminated. How close did it feel like you were to getting to the end while you were still inside the mansion? Well, I was literally this close. And if you haven't watched the video, that doesn't make sense. But if you have, you know exactly what I mean. Was there a specific moment late in the challenge where you felt extremely confident or like things were starting to slip? So it was really like I thought the things were starting to slip when it was around that day 60 mark when they were all plotting to get me eliminated. I was like, crap, what do I do? They're trying to get me eliminated. I don't know what's going to happen. Like maybe they're going to get me eliminated. I got to take matters into my own hands. That's why I felt like things were starting to slip, and that's why I threw all the food out. But then after that, like I was pretty confident. When Jimmy gave us the isolation challenge, I was completely confident in that. The next thing was the phone, confident in that. And then after that, it was like the hand, and I was really confident in the hand too. And clearly, I was pretty right in my confidence, but not completely. Walk us through that final challenge and elimination moment, and what was it like from your perspective? Well, for the final challenge, Jimmy shows up and says, hey, if you let me join, I will compete for the mansion. But if you get eliminated before I do, you get 100K. Unanimously, we agree. Yeah, Jimmy, join. Obviously, if he wins, he gets to keep the mansion. Well, Ryan, Quali, and Pierce, they said, there's no way we're risking it. We don't know when Jimmy's going to take his hand off. We want that 100K. They took their hand off. Then it was just Kevin, Uthman, Jimmy, and myself. So Kevin fell asleep, and while he was asleep, his hand came off. Thankfully, his hand came off before Jimmy's hand came off. So Kevin got 100K. We love that for Kevin. And then there were 3, and Jimmy decided to take his hand off. So then it was just Uthman and myself. And yeah, after being awake for over 32 hours straight, Jimmy showed back up later that night because he had left, and I stayed awake for like another 12, and he showed up later that night, and he shows up, and he's like, all right, Asher, how you doing? And I'm like, well, I kind of don't remember what happened 10 minutes ago. And he's like, you need to sleep. And I was like, nah, I'll stay awake. And Jimmy's like, if you don't sleep now, we're going to make you go to sleep. That's not healthy. And I was like, all right, fine, let's go to bed. So we go into the bedroom. He helps me set up the bed, him and Nolan. Tucks me in, reads me a bedtime story. I jam my hand between the window seal. Window closes down on it. And I lay there, and I fall asleep. And a couple hours later, Jimmy shows up. Hey, Asher, do you know what clip I'm about to show you? Well, I don't. But when I woke up, it's like, I don't know if you ever had a dream where halfway through the day, you like remember parts of your dream. That's kind of like it was. Like when I woke up, I had this like vague memory of what had happened, but it wasn't like prevalent yet. And so he shows me the clip as I was sleeping, my hand in between the window seal. He shows me the clip. I'm like, yeah, I'm eliminated. Uthman wins. I give him a big hug. Congratulations. He did great. And yeah, I mean, that was the end. That's what it was like from my perspective. I couldn't really control it. I mean, I tried my best. I fought the hardest. I could have not gone to sleep, except Jimmy kind of forced me to. So other than that, I mean, the only thing I would have maybe done differently is tried to sleep with my hand like under my chest, like this, and laid on my hand. But even then, I might have moved my hand. I mean, Kevin tried to sleep like with his hand on the ground like that, and he took it off. So who knows? Some people watching pointed out a specific moment near the end that argued that Uthman was eliminated. What's my take? Well, if you watch that clip, it's actually, it does look like he took his hand off. But when I watch it back slower, he took his hand from the stair to the railing. So the railing's here, the stairs are here, and he has his hand on it, and he just moved one finger, and then he moves the rest of his hand up. So it looks like he took his hand off the mansion. He didn't. I lost. He won. That's the reality. After lasting as long as you did, what, if anything, did you leave with? Well, one part that I kind of glossed over was the phone. Well, when we got the phone, we had challenges and we had rewards. And during that time, Koali actually got a phone call that said, hey, give the phone to the person you trust the least. I didn't know what the phone call had said to him, but he hands me the phone. And I'm like, for me, because I wasn't going to answer the phone. I was like, for me? So he's like, yeah. I was like, okay. And Jimmy's like, Asher, you have the option to go spend 24 hours in one of the rooms in solitary confinement, and Koali gets $10,000. Or you could pretend like this phone call never happened. I'm like, all right, thank you. Hang up. Well, obviously, I'm going to spend 24 hours in solitary confinement. Like, I may be confident in myself, but I'm not egotistical to the point where I'm like, that doesn't even make sense. So I was like, Koali, I get to spend 24 hours in isolation, and you win $10,000. And Koali's like, will you do this for me, Asher? And I'm like, of course I'll do this for you, Koali. So I go, I choose the master bedroom, I get all my stuff, and I go in there, and my 24-hour timer starts. Well, 23 hours later, a phone call happens again. Koali picks it up. Jimmy says, Koali, you can switch with Asher in isolation and you have to last for 24 hours, and he wins $10,000, or you just take your $10,000 and don't do anything. Well, Koali comes upstairs. He tells me, hey, Jimmy just called. Here's what he said. Time for us to switch. So Koali was going to do the same thing for me that I did for him. He switched. He spent 24 hours in isolation, and we both got $10,000. Unfortunately, since Jimmy left before my hand came off the mansion, I did not win the $100,000, so I walked away with that prize from the phone call. When Jimmy told you it was over, what was the first thing that went through your mind? It wasn't a surprise, because like when I woke up, I had that memory kind of shoot through my head of like me taking my hand off. And so I wasn't very surprised when he told me that I had lost. But at the same time, I was obviously still hopeful that maybe Uthman had taken his hand off. Like I had no clue. I was glad and joyful for Uthman winning too. Obviously we had spent, whatever, 118 days at this point together. And I was just glad that somebody won. And then, I didn't really want to leave the mansion. Like honestly, it had become my life in a way. Like I get to wake up, I get to watch TV whenever I want, I get to eat whatever food I want. My house is paid for by MrBeast, my food's paid for by MrBeast, my internet's paid for by MrBeast. Why would I want to leave? But the video had to end, and I'm glad that it was one of us 6 who won, because we definitely created a brotherhood. Watching the finished video back, is there anything you wish had been shown more clearly about how the challenges really went for you? Honestly, the only thing that I kind of wish was more emphasized was the actual character arc of my story, because I felt it was a little lackluster. The truth was, I was genuinely trying to be a good guy. Like, I was not destroying stuff. I was doing all this, all these things I thought would be me being a nice guy. And my arrogance was actually just my ignorant confidence. And then when it developed into me throwing all the food out, I did that because of how the other guys were ganging up against me, which obviously it's a challenge. I'm the biggest competitor. That makes sense. But at the same time, it's 5v1, so I got to take a stand for myself. And then obviously in isolation, that, development of me realizing that not everything has to be a competition, that was in the video. And then us becoming a brotherhood was, really good. After everything, would you still say that MrBeast videos are easy the way that you claimed in your old videos? 100%. Jimmy, your videos are still easy, bro. Every single challenge you put us through, other than the last to take your hand off, was easy, okay? I'm talking, the isolation was easy. The alarm, that was easy. The phones, that was easy. Chains, easy too, bro. Listen, if you want to give us a difficult challenge, okay, take the last 6 of us, all right, and put us on an abandoned island, okay? 100 days in the wilderness, no resources, have us fish, have us hunt, have us build our own shelter. That right there, that sounds like a difficult challenge to me. All your other videos, bro, they're easy. Do you want a shot at a redemption arc in another MrBeast challenge? Maybe I'll be in a future one. I don't know. I'm waiting for Jimmy to give me a call. But, if he does, I'll be in another video. If you guys like me enough, maybe if you guys tag MrBeast in the comments enough, if you guys think I deserve a second chance, I will definitely say yes to another video opportunity. What advice would you give someone who's grinding the same way I did, trying to get into a MrBeast video? I don't know, man. Like, I just posted my videos for 150 days straight. I was talking to Jimmy, and it was funny because he said to me, he was like, we never would have seen you unless we had made this video where we're trying to find people who say our videos are easy. And so, honestly, I don't know what to tell you, man. Apply the MrBeast casting on Instagram. They have a link. You can apply to be in a video. That's probably your best shot. I don't know. I can't get you in a video. I'm not special like that. Now that the video is out and people have seen your full arc, what's next for you? Trust me, I have a lot of crazy things planned. And whatever's next is going to be peak. But it's going to be really exciting. It's going to be really fun. And trust me, if you like my personality, if you like and maybe doing then you're going to want to subscribe. Thank you all for watching. Have a fantastic day. And I look forward to seeing you in a future video.